no, I'm different. Like, because I am a wife. I'm not a girlfriend. You're not finna introduce me. Hey, this is Tamar. This is my girlfriend, Tamar. Like, you're my friend, dog. Like, what are you talking about, Willis? So, they just not for me. Because I'm not going along with y'all rules. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna do that.
When women say themselves that they are wife material, I want to unpack why this can be a problem. And I'm going to do this through the lens of Tamar Braxton and also through the lens of Felicia, or Felicia. She said her name is actually Felicia Rashad, who has been in the media lately. So this is going to be a bit of a deep dive analysis, and I had a nice view for you all until someone came and parked behind me. So when I hear women say that I am wife material when they are not married, perhaps when they have been, perhaps if they are divorced, like Tamar Braxton, one of the problems with saying that you are a wife or wife material is that a lot of times women make this statement when there is a lot of evidence in the contrary. Felicia Rashad, who is also not married, she was married 3 times. She is also not married now, but I think most people would associate her, even up until now, I believe she's in her 70s, people still associate her with being a wife. Not only because of the character that she played on The Cosby Show, but also the character that she has displayed pretty consistently in her real life. And so even though for the last, 20 years or so, I believe she got her last divorce in 2001, even though Felicia Rashad has not been married for at least the last 24 years, she, in the Black community, is the definition of wife material. I think it has a lot to do with who she is, not only on camera, not only in acting roles, but also the choices and the decisions that she makes continuously, consistently, when the cameras are not on. If we were to look up a definition of Black wife, a lot of times one of the images that you might conjure up, or that might be, in ChatGPT, is a picture of Felicia Rashad. She embodies wife, even without actually being one legally. She still embodies it. And again, I think it has a lot to do with her character, or at least the character that we know her as. It perhaps has something to do with the roles that she's either taken, the acting roles that she's taken, and or the acting roles that she has declined. The ones that she has declined, and perhaps the roles that others didn't even give her because of who she, it has been said that she's, embodies like wholesomeness and innocence and respectability. And therefore, a lot of casting directors didn't see her as the one to have the sex scene and so forth. Now, I guess it's, I'm not saying she was never offered those types of roles, but we have never seen Felicia Rashad bent over, the way we've seen many other actresses. One noteworthy example being Halle Berry, or I always say her name wrong, Halle Berry, who won the major award. And the backlash there was that, conveniently she won this big award. I believe it was an Oscar, made history, but this was for a movie, Monsters Ball, where she had a pretty risque sex scene with a white man. We have never seen Felicia Rashad in that light.
Claire Huxtable and Ruth Lucas were presented to me. You always have the choice of saying yes or no. Who's going to say no to such wonderful work? I was in Los Angeles for the first time, and I was meeting the casting director and agents and people like that. And this gentleman looked at me. He said, "You know, you're just too you're too sophisticated to play a whore." And I thought to myself, okay. And I thought, oh, this is how it's done. This is the way you're thinking when you're casting people who look like me. Oh, okay. Let me go back to the theater where I can do some real work, and I'll let y'all get it together.
Now, I want to go back to the topic, is the problem with us as women saying that we are a wife. Tamar Braxton, who I'm a fan of her music, I think she's extremely talented. One of the things about Tamar is that although she constantly says that she's a wife, there's a lot of evidence, in my opinion, in the contrary. Because Tamar, when she's frustrated in relationships, will get on IG Live, will, I've heard her recently talk about her exes in interviews on her podcast, sort of always needing to sort of publicly talk about what's going on in her private relationships. And I know that she's a public figure, and perhaps some of that has to do, some of why she might come out with information is to keep her reality persona going. But again, I'll give an example here. Because you feel like you are something, and even if you have been a wife, just because you feel like you are, like I can say that I feel like I'm losing weight. What does the data say? What does the evidence say? What does the scale say? What are the numbers, right? And so what I see a lot is modern women saying that they feel like something, but their actions not matching what it is that they're saying they feel like. And so again, like I'll use myself as an example. Before I was married and before I met my now husband, when I was single, I never would say that I'm wife material, because I didn't know that to be true, because there was no evidence, no solid evidence to prove that. I might have felt like it, but up until, I believe I got engaged at 39. Up until that point, I had a lot of challenges in relationships, and there was no solid evidence to prove that I was a wife or that I was wife material. So I would always say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would be a good wife, or if I'm wife material, or what kind of wife. I would always just say I don't know, because that was a real statement. I did not know. So again, I know that women, we like to boost our self-esteem by saying things like, well, I know I'm a wife, or I'm wife material, or but it's like the important thing is not to say that you are with no evidence, or say that you feel like you are, but the evidence or the proof will be in the day-to-day decisions, the moment-to-moment decisions that you're making, that hopefully will lead to the result that because ultimately, if you're saying that you are a wife, at some point you should become one to actually see if that's true. Right? And so, I just think this is so interesting, because if you go back to Felicia Rashad, I don't think Felicia Rashad ever was like, yeah, I'm wife material. But yet that's the label that we all put on her. She is the prototype, and she has been that way for all these years. And then the question becomes, how did she get that title? How did she get that crown? Where you have women like, I'm just using Tamar as an example, who publicly claim over and over that they're wife material, or that they're a wife, they're not a girlfriend. And yet, where's the evidence of this? They've both been married. They're both divorced. One, Felicia Rashad, although she is divorced, we still associate her as being a wife. The other, the other being Tamar Braxton, keeps claiming that she's a wife, keeps going on IG Live telling everybody that she's not a girlfriend, but she's wife material. And yet, I don't think we believe her. I think she believes what she's saying, but I think we need more evidence to prove that. And why is that? Why doesn't Tamar have the same title and crown that Felicia Rashad has? And so now this is where we have to unpack behaviors, patterns, things that we do on and off camera. So someone who really is wife material and not girlfriend material will behave on and off camera in a certain way, in a respectable way, right? It's not so much that you hit record and then, now you're performing as a wife. No, that's not how that works. And so what I see with Tamar is a lot of, like I said, she gets frustrated. She goes online. She'll make a video about what frustrated her, about, whoever she's dating or whoever she's married to. And then maybe she'll delete it. And, then she'll argue with people in the comment section. And, there's a lot of behaviors. Her having to constantly lash out. Her having to always have the last word. Her talking too much. There's a lot of indicators that perhaps she's really not wife material. And this is harsh, because this is where we have to use logic. Again, I think this is where the way I think sometimes can rub women the wrong way. Believe me, I'm an emotional person. My emotional side is way more prominent than my logical side, but I do have the ability to take myself out of the situation and look at things objectively. I use a weight example because I remember when I would watch My 600-Pound Life, you would see a lot of people who would feel like they were losing weight, or they would feel like they would think one thing, but then they would go to the doctor, I forgot his name, and he would weigh them. And, and then he would basically, they would just look stupid, like, because they would say, well, I felt like, right, but it doesn't matter what you feel. If your goal is to lose weight, then the numbers need to go down on the scale, right? Or if it's high blood pressure, the blood pressure needs to be improving. What's the data? What do the numbers say? What are the indicators? And, again, with Tamar, there's a lot of publicly saying a thing or feeling like a thing and less just being the thing. Felicia Rashad just for the last, since I was born, basically, or since I was little, she's been the thing. And it's not to say that she's perfect. It's not to say that she doesn't make mistakes. I know that was a whole thing with her defending Bill Cosby, and, she got a lot of backlash. So this is not to say that she's perfect. This is about how we brand ourselves when we don't even realize it. It's about branding. And I don't mean in a business way, although that, I could mean that, but I'm talking more about the way our personality, our traits, our decisions, our behaviors, the best indicator often being what are we doing and what are we thinking and how are we acting when no one is looking, when the cameras are off, right? And then how do we respond to things when we're frustrated? Do we then go and go on IG Live and make a video about how our partner, said something to us that we don't like, and here's all the tea. Fantasia had an incident. This was several years ago with her now husband. Apparently they got into an argument, and she decided to go on social media and make a post that aired out some of their dirty laundry within their marriage, and he left her. And she had to then go get him back. She went and, so many weeks or months, I think it was months that went by, and then she apologized and he decided to take her back. But again, and actually I'm a big fan of Fantasia as far as her renewed persona, her online persona. But a lot of that has to do with her learning. I mean, she had to learn how to manage her emotions and how to be more wife-like, because it's not rocket science, but clearly if you are the type of woman to, when you get upset, go online and blast your husband, and then put that out for the whole internet to see, especially when you're a celebrity and that eyes are on you, that is not a display of being a wife material. And Fantasia learned that the hard way. And now I can say, and again, of course, I don't know everything about her, but based on what I have seen of her in the last couple years, I would say that I would give Fantasia the same title or crown, so to speak, that Felicia Rashad has. I think the last point I want to make here is about something that I've heard, and there's a feminist content creator, I won't say her name, I actually have a video about her, who made a statement a couple years ago that I really didn't like. And it was about how you could essentially be a hoe, and that has no bearing on whether or not you get married. Now, although that is actually true, hoes get married all the time. You can be as big of a hoe as you want, and yes, you can become a wife. That is true. But I didn't like her framing of this, because to me, it sounded like she was giving women, modern women, mostly, black women, an excuse and a reason not to hold themselves accountable with regard to their behavior. And so although it is factual that you can be a hoe and still get married, although that is true, that still should never be any woman's goal, is to say that, I could be out in the streets doing whatever I want to do and I can still get married. Because again, if we're using Felicia Rashad as an example here, her reputation is why we respect her. And her reputation was built, like I said, this is day-to-day decisions that she's made. What roles did she take? What roles did she decline? The way she, when she's on the red carpet, what outfits does she choose to wear? Yeah, it's true that Felicia Rashad could have done all that, and at 70-something years old, we still look at her and don't respect her. But why not build up more evidence, a body of evidence that has the potential to lead to a better outcome? Why put yourself in a deficit of being a hoe and hoping, or maybe the couple examples are out there, the handful of examples of women who did do that and got married and use that and say, oh, well, they did it, so I can be out here doing it and I'm good. I'm still going to get married. Why not set yourself up for the best result? So that is almost like what Tamar is doing. It's like she thinks that she can kind of play in the mud. And again, this is not about being perfect, but this is about people watch people. You say you're a wife, but do you not think that men are paying attention to the way that you reacted in your last marriage when you were frustrated on IG Live? So she's like in the weeds and playing in the weeds and in the mud and thinking that thinking that it's acceptable for her to then say, well, I'm a wife. Tamar thinks that people are focused on what she says, but people are more focused on what she's doing. And again, to go back to the example, yeah. Can you be a hoe and get married? Yes. But why? Why would you do that to yourself? Why not respect yourself? And will respecting yourself mean that you're going to get married? No. You could respect yourself and still not get married. But could it potentially increase your chances? Yes. Yes. Of course. It's just going back to my example of the weight loss. It's just like someone eating, McDonald's every day and being like, oh yeah, I'm still going to lose weight. I mean, yeah, are there people who eat McDonald's and somehow still lose weight? I'm sure that, yeah, that probably can happen. But why make it harder for yourself? And whatever kind of weight loss that is not going to be healthy weight loss. So I think you guys get my drift here. And so I just wanted to pop in and say this again for all the women, the modern women, the black women who say that I'm a wife or I'm wife material. This has nothing to do with you being married. You notice how I'm not really focusing on the married part. I'm focused on the character part. Because yes, there are a lot of women walking around who are wives. But the question is, do people know that you're a wife? And you saying it, is that what you need to be doing? Or do you need to just walk in it? That's what Felicia Rashad, to me, it appears that is what she has done. She's walked in it, whether she was married or not. When she was married, she acted like a wife. When she was not married, she acted like a wife. When, she was on the Cosby Show, she actually was married, but her online persona is wife. Her offline persona is wife. You see what I'm saying? Versus Tamar, okay, online, you're telling me you're a wife, but then sometimes you don't act like it. And then offline, like, share, and subscribe. Click the links in the description and get to know what I do with my media business, Curated Legacy LLC. I offer YouTube coaching. So stay tuned for the Curated Legacy podcast. And there's about 3 episodes out now if you want to check that out. Become a channel member. You can join the Black and Invisible channel membership to support the channel, or to get some perks and benefits that come with that. I have a book about being an invisible Black woman. So you can click the link in the description box to purchase my book. Also, I have a Black-owned store. So if you want to know what products I use, soaps, shea butters, oils, also books in my Black-owned store, you can click that link, which is in the description box. Follow me on Instagram if you feel compelled to do so. And I think that's all for now. And as always, this is Naka, and I am here to make the invisible visible about Black women. I highlight the things that Black women would never tell you. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.
Men have crushes on you, Miss Felicia. And John Batiste was here. He said he gets flustered when he's around you.
I had a crush on Felicia Rashad.
Yes.
I had a crush on her since I was a boy, and those never go. They never leave you. It feels like you're a little boy. Every time I see her, I'm like, I don't even want to go over there.
Okay. Can you give John Batiste the green light to come and say hi next time he sees you? This camera over here, what would you say to John Batiste?
You better come say hello.
And she has spoken. Felicia, there are so many folks who feel not seen, they're not heard, they feel forgotten. With folks who feel like nobody sees me. What would you say to that?
See yourself. See yourself. See who you really are. See what's living inside you.
Yeah.
And you won't worry about anybody else seeing you.
Okay.